The wind rustled through the cornstalks, a symphony of whispers that sent shivers down Emily's spine. Autumn had painted the leaves in shades of crimson and gold, but the beauty of the season did little to ease her growing unease. She had lived on the edge of this cornfield her entire life, and she knew something wasn't right. The whispers seemed louder this year, more insistent, as if the corn itself were trying to tell her something. Emily's grandfather, a weathered farmer with eyes as blue as a summer sky, had warned her about the cornfield. He told her stories of children who had wandered into its depths and never returned, their laughter swallowed by the rustling leaves. He spoke of strange lights that danced among the stalks at night, beckoning unsuspecting travelers closer. Emily had always dismissed these tales as folklore, but now as she stood at the edge of the field, she couldn't shake the feeling that something was watching her. Determined to prove her grandfather wrong, Emily took a hesitant step into the cornfield. The stalks towered above her, their dry leaves brushing against her skin like skeletal fingers. The sun, a hazy orb in the late afternoon sky, cast long, eerie shadows that stretched out before her like beckoning arms. The whispers grew louder, seeming to press in on her from all sides, suffocating her with their unseen presence. Emily stumbled forward, her heart pounding in her chest. She had only taken a few steps, but it felt like she had been walking for hours. The air grew thick and heavy, making it difficult to breathe. She could feel her grandfather's warnings echoing in her ears, but she was too far in to turn back now. As she rounded a bend in the path, she saw it, a single solitary scarecrow, its straw-stuffed limbs outstretched as if in warning. But it was the scarecrow's face that chilled her to the bone. It was her grandfather's face, twisted into a grotesque grin, its eyes burning with an unholy light. The air was crisp and cool, the scent of autumn leaves heavy in the air, as Sarah and her friends piled onto the back of the hay-filled wagon. Laughter and excited chatter filled the air as the tractor lurched forward, pulling them deeper into the heart of the pumpkin patch. The annual haunted hayride was a tradition in their small town, a chance to celebrate the season with a healthy dose of spooky fun. But this year, something felt different as the wagon bumped along the uneven path. Sarah couldn't shake the feeling that they were being watched. The scarecrows that lined the route seemed to turn their heads to follow her, their straw-stuffed bodies taking on an almost lifelike quality in the fading light. The laughter of her friends died down as the atmosphere grew thick with anticipation. The tractor lurched to a halt at the edge of a dark, wooded area, and a collective gasp went up from the group. The air was heavy with the smell of damp earth and decaying leaves, and a thick fog rolled in, obscuring the path ahead. The tractor driver, his face hidden beneath a wide-brimmed hat, chuckled ominously. "This is where I leave you folks," he drawled, his voice raspy and unsettling. "Don't worry, the path's well marked. Just follow the lanterns and you'll be back to the bonfire in no time." With that, he flicked the reins and the tractor rumbled away, leaving Sarah and her friends standing alone in the eerie silence. The fog seemed to press in on them, suffocating them with its damp embrace. The lanterns that lined the path flickered erratically, casting grotesque shadows that danced and writhed like living things. Sarah could feel her heart pounding in her chest, a primal fear gripping her insides. The old house stood at the end of a long, winding driveway, its paint peeling and its windows dark and empty. It had been abandoned for years, left to rot and decay under the watchful gaze of the ancient oak tree that loomed over it like a skeletal guardian. Local legend had it that the house was haunted, the site of a gruesome murder-suicide that had taken place decades earlier. But for 10-year-old Billy, the old house held a different kind of fascination. Billy had always been drawn to the macabre, fascinated by stories of ghosts and ghouls. He had heard the whispers about the old house, the rumors of strange noises and unexplained occurrences. But unlike the other children in town, Billy wasn't afraid. He was curious. He wanted to see for himself if the stories were true. One crisp autumn afternoon, while his parents were busy with errands in town, Billy decided to explore the abandoned property. He had been warned countless times to stay away from the old house, but the allure of the unknown proved too strong to resist. As he approached the house, he noticed something strange. Standing in the middle of the overgrown lawn was a scarecrow, its straw-stuffed limbs outstretched as if in greeting. But it was the scarecrow's face that sent a shiver down Billy's spine. It was the face of a child, its features frozen in a silent scream. Billy hesitated for a moment, his curiosity battling with a growing sense of unease. He had seen scarecrows before, of course, but there was something about this one that unsettled him. It seemed too real, too lifelike. As he drew closer, he noticed something else. The scarecrow's clothes were torn and stained, and its straw stuffing was spilling out from a gash in its chest. It was then that Billy realized the horrible truth. This wasn't a scarecrow at all. It was a child.